Hello class, this is my happiness project presentation and I hope you guys enjoy it. Okay, so for my happiness project, I decided to keep a journal. When we first started, I really was kind of confused at the project requirements. And I was like, okay, I'll kind of figure it out towards the end of the try. But as the class got going and we had to do the checkpoints for the assignments, I was like, okay, I should probably start figuring out what I want to do. And so I landed quite nicely on journal writing. I had never kept a journal in the past at a consistent rate. I'd always tried here and there. I'd be like, oh yeah, let's try to do this because, the church, they always were kind of like, hey, you guys need to keep a journal, keep records, kind of like all the guys in the old Bible stories did. And so I'd always try, but it only lasted a week or so. And so I was like, hey, this is the perfect opportunity to try and get this down as a good habit. And so that's what I try to do. And so here I just wrote down a few benefits that I found. I kind of researched a little bit as I was doing it and kind of before I did it. And so first, one benefit is I get to achieve my goals. So when I first started and I did some research, a lot of resources were like, you need to keep track of goals. And that's why you're kind of doing a journal. And I was like, okay, perfect. That'll go along with this class. And so a couple goals that I decided to set was one, I set a physical goal, and two, I set an educational goal. So the physical goal, I was like, okay, I want to get stronger. So basically I'm a golfer and I've always wanted to be stronger to hit the ball further and get better results. And so for this class, I set a goal of maxing out on bench and maxing out squat. And I was like, I set these numbers, these requirements. I was like, okay, I gotta get these before the end of the trimester. And that was originally my happiness project, was just to keep track of my weight, and well, not keep track of my weight, but keep track of my weight progress. And I was like, this isn't big enough, so let's try and extend it. And so then I kind of branched off into journal writing, and I was like, oh cool, I can use this part of my project as well. And so that was the physical. And then school, I just set the goal of getting good grades. I mean, that's a constant goal, and I was like, okay, this will be another good one just to put in there. And because I need to do it. I need to get good grades, and so I did my best to do that. Now, second, a journal is also good for keeping track and progress of those goals. And so I did not write my journal on a daily basis, but I did on a weekly basis. And so I would get in every Sunday afternoon, the same time I did the assignments for this class, and I would write in there and be like, okay, here's my progress on these goals. Here's how much weight I've gained. Here are my maxes. This is how much they've gone up. Or here's school. School's still going good. I got an A on this test. Things like that. And so I still got that journal and I still have all that evidence. But that's all going really, really well. I mean, it really did go pretty well. And so I tracked it, and yeah, that's that. Also, from doing the journal, I kind of found that I had a little more self-confidence in myself, because this confidence kind of came off of, I would go and I'd write down all these things, and I would start being like, okay, Dylan, you did it. You can continue to do this, and you continue to grow upon yourself. And so I started to realize that from writing in the journal, I was also gaining confidence on a daily basis, which I thought was pretty cool. Next, I write, oh my goodness, I wrote improve writing and communication skills. So my communication has always not been the best. I really tend to stutter when I'm in situations such as this, presenting. But I did realize that it did improve my writing, because I've always been in English and always had to write essays here and there, but I never did it. And it was always hard for me to, I always struggled writing because, my wrist would cramp, or my fingers would start hurting, or just little minor things that you would think would be a big deal. And so by doing the journal, it was easier and easier for me to write more and more the next time. And so that kind of came through with improving my writing. And then reduce stress and anxiety. I did some research on this, but I really didn't find any results through my own actions. But I mean, it's there, and I'm sure that for some people it does help reduce stress and anxiety, but I didn't really find any results backing up that reason. And as I kind of stated before, find inspiration. That kind of goes along with the goals. I mean, when you go and you set goals, you have that inspiration to continue to go and to keep track of your progress and your growth. You can find inspiration through those results, and that's exactly what I did. And then the last benefit that I found was strengthen my memory. My memory has always struggled, but I realized that when I go down and I write down things that actually happened, it's like you write it down and you just remember it better. It's really hard to explain, but again, I did some research and found a little more websites that talked about it, and they were backing me up on that claim. So it's weird and it's hard to explain, but it totally did strengthen my memory, and I mean, not really felt, but just remember things better, things that happened in the past. So that was kind of cool, kind of a little nifty little fact. I was like, oh, that's pretty sweet. And then good old reflection. In this project, by keeping the journal, I learned a lot more about myself than I initially thought I would. I mean, going and looking back upon what I wrote, during the trimester, and learning about the things I like to do or the things I was thinking at that time, it was kind of just, I don't know, can I use the word nifty to go back and think about. And I really did enjoy going back and learning more about myself and the things that I like to do and little hobbies and just things like that. Next, as I kind of talked about, one of the benefits is you found inspiration. I mean, when you go and you write down your goals, I mean, this is kind of a big thing that's kind of surrounded my whole life, but when you write down something, you stick towards it. And this project was evidence of that. I mean, I found inspiration in the goals, and I worked and worked and worked harder and harder to achieve them. And in the end, the third point, I did achieve my goals. I reached my max bench of 185, my squat of 235, and I even gained 10 pounds. So all physical goals were a check, and even educational wise, I ended up with a 4.0 this try, and everything turned out really good. And this try was not easy by any means, and I still pulled it off. And so that whole thing worked out super, super well, and I could not have been more grateful for how this project turned out. And so thank you so much, Mrs. Fox, for proposing that we have to do this project or making this project an assignment, because in the end it really did help me grow as a person, as did this whole class. So thank you so much.